folks, and welcome back to Learn Synthesis with VCV Rack. I'm your host, Dr. Lawrence W. Moore, and we're continuing our tour of the free module libraries for the free open source software Eurorack modeling software VCV Rack. We are currently in Audible Instruments, which are based on the mutable instruments modules from physical Eurorack, and they are some pretty powerful tools, as we've seen in the past 2 episodes. This episode will conclude our tour of Audible Instruments modules, and we're going to be looking at the modulators and the resonator, which are also quite powerful tools. So away we go. Okay, so what I have called up here is our good old MIDI in. This is the macro oscillator that we looked at 2 episodes back. It's a monophonic oscillator. If you want to go polyphonic with it, you need multiples of them. And I went over that in episode 2 of this series 2, where I did that with Pafaco, so you can see how to go polyphonic with this if you want. Here's the resonator, the new thing, but I'm bypassing it right now so you can hear what our source sound is. I called up pluck, and it's going into this VCA here, where this gate controls its amplitude shape, and then the output from the VCA is going straight to the audio out. I'm bypassing the resonator. We'll hear that in a moment, but I want you to hear what we're starting with. Now, that may not sound all that amazing. I turn up the coarse button. I'm playing some pretty middle range keys here, but this coarse knob is really for large frequency changes and so forth. So you can see some of what you can do with pluck. The timbre, gives it some changes, and so does color. How about we go there? I have it hooked up to volts per octave, so it is receiving pitch, but it has so much of a stochastic, like plucky sound to it that it is really not, you're hearing a lot of non-pitch sound with it. That's okay, that's about to change. Here is an envelope where I just have a quick attack and a bit of a decay here. Can make it a little bit longer. Now, I chose this because this resonator is kind of like a string resonator, or at least I think that's what it's modeled to do. So I'm going to go into it and then take an output from its odd out into the left input here. Wow. And we hear something completely different. So let's take a look at some of its parameters, and then we could talk about these multiple outputs here. Up here, we have frequency. I do have volts per octave pitch coming in, so it does kind of like adjust in pitch with what I play. But when you set this frequency knob, it kind of changes the area in the frequency spectrum where it's resonating. You could still hear some of the rough pluckiness coming through. Maybe I'll turn down the decay time on it. This is great, as with a lot of the Audible Instruments modules. This is great for physical modeling and definitely getting like a metallic ringing sound. Now I'm playing some higher notes here, but you hear these undertones coming out from this frequency selection here, basically going below the fundamental frequency. If I initialize it, it should be right on with the pitch I'm playing. There is here a structure adjustment. Now, ooh, what did I do? All right. You hear it kind of is almost like frequency, but I guess it really is a different parameter. This might be the structure of the resonance, meaning like a bell-shaped curve that is being accentuated right now. That's allowing more resonance through. And that seems to dull it a bit. Alrighty, so we have those. These both can be modulated through these inputs here and the amount knobs, which we are fairly accustomed to seeing. We have brightness here. See if we can get kind of more of a drum sound. But I'm going to change the structure. It seems to be a little bit rougher. What it seems to be doing really is altering, you can imagine, what the metal's being struck with, perhaps. Or maybe it's modeling something else, but at least what I'm hearing is something like that. It's really stuff we need to play with to see what sounds you can get. That's the dampers, so you can have it ring out longer. I have the envelope on the initial pluck sound itself, but it does not contain or shape the resonance. You could put a second envelope in VCA here to do that, but may not be necessary with this damping. Okay, and then we have position here, which is once again another one of those changes that okay, so a lot of variety there. I also noticed these up here. Let's zoom in on it just to take a look at it. Sorry if you see a second mouse cursor. The big one is me. All right. Resonance type. And you try to hover over them to see what you're getting, but it's not telling you much. It might be a manual sort of thing. Yeah, definitely an important parameter, because now we're getting more like a cylindrical drum. We was able to tighten it up with structure there. But it really is a string resonator sort of thing. So yeah, now we're getting like a big resonant container on, you play down in a bass range, almost bassy strings, but hard to say what instrument it is. And then over here, likewise, we have some selectors. Polyphony. Now, I've tested it out before and I was not getting multiple notes. I'm hearing changes in tone, but I literally was not getting other pitches. But before we move on, I'll give it one last try and see if I can get the going. Everything here except for pluck would actually support polyphony, although we're wondering about resonator here. If I take this out and put in macro oscillator 2, we'll get something. One last thing to kind of show here, well, two. If we take the audio in and go into strum instead, you get a little bit more of a strummy attack to it. I'm trying to play multiple notes, but we would literally have to take this out. And so we're going to do that in a moment, give that a shot. But let me show you what you get here with the odd and even outputs. I'm going to put one on left, one on right. You can right there get a pretty interesting stereo effect. Of course, Bafaco has the channel strips, but our stereo where you could do a little bit of balancing and so forth with the pan. But another thing you can do is take out the mixer. And we'll put these on channels 1 and 2. Take the output and go into left mono here. So here you can kind of mix them. Not hearing a big difference on this one, but on other sounds that I've called up when playing around with it, I was hearing some differences where one of them sounded a little bit more like a wet mix and one like a dry. There, definitely this one's carrying more body now. Okay, so you see some of the options that you have there. What I'm going to do is actually get rid of that for now. Put these in stereo. Okay, now I'm going to have to take this out because this is definitely doesn't support the easy polyphony here that you can get with the MIDI to CV. So I am going to plug in one that does, and that's Macro Oscillator 2 from this Audible Instruments set. So we need to hook up our volts. In fact, what I will do, disconnect these for now. Before I try the resonator to see if it goes polyphonic, I'm going to get polyphony straight up here. Okay, so now we don't have sustain. Let's put some in. Alrighty, so now go back over here. We're going to go to here and select 4-note polyphony. There we got 4 notes of polyphony. Now we're going to go in here and then out. See what we get. Nope. So we are only getting the first note. I'm playing other keys. It's not coming through. It's kind of like getting jammed up here. What you could do is put in a split, take out 4 cables, go into 4 of these, and out of the 4 of these into a merge, into its first 4 inputs, and then connect up here and, you know, set these to the same parameters, and you're fine. Unless... No, this is a different thing. It's not the actual polyphony of notes. So anyway, I just wanted to test that out. What we can do now, let's hook this up here. So we have a starting sound. We're going to take a look at the modulators. One of them does support polyphony, so I believe we'll be going with that. So I'm just going to type in mod. I'm only going to show 2 modulators. There is this Meta Modulator, which we'll look at after this, but there are 2 called Tidal Modulator, Tidal Modulator 1 and 2. And after looking through them, the 2 is the one of the 2 that supports the new polyphony, simple polyphony. So I'm going to go with that. And I also saw some other things on it where it seems to be an improvement of the other. Like, for example, this macro oscillator is quite different than, this is macro oscillator 2, and it's quite different than macro oscillator 1, the one that we were just using for pluck. Different sound array, basically, of possibilities. But this one really is almost like an improved version of Tidal oscillator. So I'm just going to show this one, because after you learn this one, you can use the other, but you probably won't because this one is an improved version of it. So let me go take our audio. Oh, no, that's the Meta oscillator actually has an input. This one does have a trigger, does have clock input, it does have pitch input, but it is a modulator where basically you could have this modulating FM And we'll do that to start here with an FM input from one of the 4 outs. As you see, there is a light array kind of showing the activity of the outputs. And you can change that. Oh, I didn't want to do that. Yeah, let's go with yellow. Let's put it into FM here. Okay, so we're going in FM. Do we want to, let's see. When I was practicing with it, I was actually using amplitude modulation. We may just do that again. Let's take that out. I'll come back to FM in a moment, but I might as well at least do what I prepared to do. So amplitude modulation, we can use the mixer here. Take the audio out. This way, a gate's already hooked up to the envelope generator. The envelope generator is going to govern the mixer. We're able to take our audio output from the macro oscillator, put it in here, and then we have a space for CV input where this can, please. All right, it's currently hooked up to FM. I'll switch it over there. Okay. All right, let me double check. Here we have, channels up, yeah. And audio's going in the right spot. Let me take you out just to see. Okay, that's probably why we're also not hearing FM. I'm looking at this one, it's not lighting up. Maybe it's the mode here. Now one is lighting up. Okay, so we are getting amplitude modulation. Now, in the pattern that it's showing here, it's now modulating all 4 outputs at the same time. This switch up here allows you to then switch, and then it's doing them in order, but it seems to be just 2, 3, and 4. And 1 would be kind of like a unmodulated. So that if you had a 3 oscillator set or a 4 oscillator set, you can have some of them being oscillated at different time offsets. Then I switch that. Not getting anything. Okay, we'll stick with that. All right, so what's different about this? You can get this with a simple LFO. And it is basically in a low frequency range, as you can tell from there. But you have shapes. And you can basically get gradual shapes in between the different listed shapes. There's a smooth, more like a sine shape. Now over here, you do have slope options. Here, fast rise and ramp down. We go to more of an angular shape here. It'll even adjust that. So between your different shape options, and your slope, now we're going to get a rise to a fall. There you go. And then all these things can be adjusted with inputs, with amount controls as well, including your frequency and your shape as well as your slope. So it gives you a lot of shaping possibilities, in other words. Gives you smoothness options. And then over here, the shift level, I haven't gotten a big difference. I guess it depends on which shape you're on. Yeah, I'm not hearing much of a difference with shift level. Maybe that has something to do. I'm going to look down here. Okay, yeah, that's because I'm just plugged into one. It seems to have an effect on your 4 outputs at the bottom. So we would only notice that if the other 3 were hooked up. Okay. These are speed variances. That's a high frequency, which you could slow down with that. So yeah, you get like a wide range of frequency options here. So you're gonna have it in LFO mode, somewhere in between, and then in a high frequency mode. So anyway, the Tidal oscillator, the first one, I played with that a bit, and I wasn't hearing as big of a difference between the shapes and so forth. And so I just feel this one is just an improvement all around. And a good thing about it is you can, oh, we are already in polyphonic mode. Slow this down here. Now, of course, we're doing all amplitude modulation here. Take this off of, oh no, we want to keep the audio there. Take the CD off of there. Let's pump it into FM like I tried to begin with. So yeah, as you see, it gives you a lot of options when you want different types of shaping controls. So that would be the advantage of that. So I'm going to take it out because we have one more oscillator modulator to look at. Move these over again. Should fit in here. I just type modulator. We get, looking for the Meta Modulator. That seems to be it. Now this one is one where you actually put audio into the modulator. At least I believed it was. Yeah, you can, in other words, put it in. And then we're going to take it out from here and put this in here. Oh, we're in. This is not polyphonic, so we need to go back into monophonic mode. Okay, so we have two inputs and level controls for them here. And then there, let me at least get to read it. It's an internal oscillator with different algorithms. Some of them you don't hear anything on, like I never heard anything on these two. But I guess it depends on what they're doing and how I'm using it. Once again, the same ones that weren't speaking before are not speaking again. Timbre control. I'm playing different notes. There is no pitch input here. You can adjust the algorithm with CV inputs, adjust the timbre control with CV inputs. That's about it. So let's go to this input here. Now we have something on just about each algorithm. Playing different pitches there. Pretty much what it's doing is it's taking the signal out and putting it through this, and we're getting it as is. Now, if we switch it to aux, I have not found yet what the big difference is between aux output and this output. Now, one thing we can do here, I'm going to put you straight into the mixer. Actually disconnect you. I'll get there temporarily. All right, so now channel 1 we have dry, channel 2 we have wet. I'm going to have to hook this up to an aux here. Maybe it just gives you an extra output for convenience. Now we're not hearing anything coming in to channel 2 there. Now we do. So, yeah, and these are just level controls for these two different types of inputs. So, it's one of those things that, hold on. Oh, I'm not getting anything. Let me see if I can, yeah, the aux out here is not feeding this. Maybe I can do 2 audio outs. There we go. So yeah, mixing it or maybe having a separate envelope for this is probably the most useful way of using it. I'm not getting any kind of pitch control. Yep, not getting any kind of pitch control or anything like that, but I don't know. It's interesting to be aware of. But in any case, if you found any of this useful, please hit the like button. Leave a comment or subscribe to the channel, or all three. Share and subscribe too to help the series get more reach. I'd really appreciate that. But in the meantime, what we're going to do next time is look at E-series, especially the cloud generator, and then we'll move on to some more libraries after that. E-series is its own library, kind of a small one, but we'll be checking it out next time. All right, until then, take care and stay free.